You're listening to Game Changers with Steve Tresler. Game Changers is produced by Chris Bryant.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey, welcome to Game Changers with Steve Tresler. I'm Steve Tresler. Today's Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. The guest today on the podcast, Willie Blakemore Ray. Willie was born January 21st, 1966. He is a former pro athlete, U.S. alternate on the Olympic team for bobsledding, and a personal trainer, and really he goes by a personal training coach here in Kentucky, and he's been doing that for the better part of 4 decades now. Willie, thanks for being here, man.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for being patient with us here as we got this going. But first of all, let's start at the beginning. You grew up in Detroit, born January 21st, and what's your mom and dad's name? Tell me about your parents.
Well, my mom, her name is Carolyn Ann Ray. The other person, I just got to include him. His name is Albert Richardson. And so I was brought up basically by a single parent, which was my mom. I call her my OG because she was my rock.
She was mom and dad, right?
Yeah, she was mom and dad, so I've watched her struggle over the years. She had me at a young age. She had me at 17. She got pregnant with me, I believe, at 16. So, she was, wasn't expelled from school. She was kicked out of school because she was pregnant, because back then you weren't allowed to go to school once you're pregnant. So, times changed now. So after she had me, she wanted to finish, so she got her GED, and she had to go right to work. So she worked as an elevator operator at Hudson's, which is like Macy's, pretty much. And then my grandma, my great-grandma, they, watched me while she went to work, and she went to school and get her GED. And then later on, throughout the years, she ended up working at Henry Ford Hospital, which is like right down the street from where we used to live, because Hudson's was downtown Detroit.
Mm-hmm. And so you grew up in Detroit, Motown. Did you grow up listening? Did mom grow up listening to that music and make you listen to it? And
well,
how far did you grow up from Hitsville, USA?
Man, Hitsville was down the street from. It's not down the street. I would say it was probably like maybe a mile from where we lived.
That's down the street to me.
So yeah, so certain areas, because Hitsville was like on West Grand Boulevard, which is one of the main streets. But then you have all the other streets, all the other neighborhoods and stuff like that. That's in that area. But we lived. Me and my mom, we moved a lot. So I'd say probably sometimes out of a year we moved 4 or 5 times out of a year.
Wow.
So we moved here.
And how long did that go on?
It went on for a little bit, because, her being a single mom and just trying to make ends meet together was a struggle, and I watched her struggle. And, when I would want something, she would make sure I would have, and I didn't go without. But, a lot of times, we had to go without. We had to, our heat get turned off in the winter, or something like that, and we had to wait until she got the money to turn it back on. So I watched her struggle a lot, man, and that was one thing. Me coming up, I said I would never want my daughter to struggle that way, or my kids to struggle that way. So that was my main objective, was to go to school and try and go pro, so I could take care of her. But watching her struggle, man, it instilled a lot of things in me that a lot of these kids nowadays take for granted, and they, just abuse and disrespect their parents.
Oh, yeah, you get that right.
So, back then, your parents could take authority and discipline you like they should, which will help you become a better person growing up. But I guess, society and things like that dictate what parents can do and what they can't do, nowadays. So it's like kids just run over their parents.
So you graduated high school in Detroit, 1985. And what sports did you play? And obviously, football was the main one because you got scholarship offers.
Yeah, football and track.
Okay. And so you got a scholarship to play football at Kentucky State University.
No, actually, when I was playing, I got offers from University of Michigan, Kansas, IU, Nebraska, a few other schools, Central Michigan. But my mom thought I was going to go IU because I got everything from them except a plane ticket.
Wow.
So Coach Bill Mallory was the head coach back then, and I was getting letters, like almost every day from them. And then I got hurt the fourth game of my senior year, and all of those offers just, because I was a preseason All-American receiver. So all those offers were pretty much, I didn't get no letters after that.
Wow.
Just I still got, it was crushing.
Yeah, it had to be
because I'm like pumped, I'm going to IU, and I got some from UC, but my heart was going to go to IU because I just wanted to go to be a Hoosier. So I'm like, I'm going to go to Indiana, be a Hoosier. And then I guess, once they found out that, because I was competing against another guy named Stanford Blue from a school called Henry Ford High School. And him and we were kind of competing. So I had led the state in receiving. And then once I got injured, it was like, no more, you didn't hear about my name no more. So there was the fourth game. I still got honors as far as like all-city honorable mention. But, a few schools came. I had like a big old, because I had a knee injury. I had a torn ACL. So I had a big old brace on my knee.
Nowadays, that would be nothing. But in the mid-'80s, that was a killer.
Yeah. So the Detroit Lions doctor, Dr. Collins, he did surgery, and he just cleaned it, scoped it. And so I went around without an ACL, strengthened it up, and then later on, I just didn't have nothing, no offers. I went to a few small schools to visit, but I didn't have the SAT or the ACT scores to get in, and I don't even think they had Prop 48s back then, really. So I ended up sitting out, but I just knew that I was going to play somewhere.
Yeah.
So. My mom, she, I helped her out when she, worked, and I went to work, and we both worked at the same hospital. So she already worked at Henry Ford Hospital. Yeah. She got me a job there, so I worked, helped out at home. Then she ended up getting sick, and I had to take care of her, and my grandma helped me take care of her. Then pretty much after that, after she passed, my buddy,
So your mother got sick.
Mm-hmm.
And you went from that to she passed. So what happened? How old were you, and what was
when she passed? I was about 21.
And so what was it? Cancer?
It was cancer. Yeah.
Oh man. What
she had liver cancer.
Liver cancer.
Because at first she got sick, and she had to have immediate surgery because she had a blockage in her bile ducts. Okay. So she had immediate surgery. They removed that, and she recovered pretty quick. Went back to work. So about maybe 6 months later, it came back in the form of liver cancer. So
that had to destroy your entire world. That was everything.
Oh man,
that was mom. That was the mom, the dad, the OG, the rest.
Oh yeah, it crumbled me, man. I didn't. It was. I couldn't even think about depression. Couldn't even. Most people were going to depression and just couldn't do nothing. But I had to work. I had to work. I had to work. And I had to take care of her. So I would take her to radiation and chemo, then take her over to my grandma's, and then go to work. And then when I get off work, I go to my grandma's, pick her up, and we go home.
You grew up quick,
so, oh yeah. And so I watched her, man, just deteriorate. And then it got to the point to where she couldn't really keep herself up, hold a glass up or anything like that. So I told my grandma, I said, we gotta do something because I said, she's getting worse. I don't want to admit her, but it's nothing I can do. So we had to admit her, and it was just a process, man, to where, it was seeing my mom, how strong she was, to seeing her she couldn't fight. So, I prayed over her, laid hands on her, everything, man, and she just didn't want to fight no more.
When you look back on it, when you see how much pain that she was in, do you realize that maybe her passing was really a great sense of relief to her, maybe because she was in so much pain?
Yeah.
As much as it hurt you to let her go.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, I knew she knows she was going to be in a better place.
Yeah.
You know, good thing about it, she recommitted herself to Christ in church with me one Sunday when we went to church. So I was pumped about that.
Yeah.
So she rededicated herself to Christ, man, and that was good because, you know, I would go to church every Sunday and she didn't want to really go with me. I used to, you know, ask her to go and ask her why she won't go, but she wasn't ready. But when she got ready, she went to church with me, rededicated her life to Christ, man, and, you know, and just made a new beginning. And then, I know, like I said, now I know I know where she is. And her, you know, she's in a better place, man. She's no more sickness, no more disease.
Mm-hmm.
So she's living a good life now.
You know, every single mother is going to have a place in heaven, as far as I'm concerned. It's not easy. I can't imagine, even today with the economy the way it is, Willie.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine how these moms are surviving that are single moms right now. I mean, you know, I'm married, I have a wife and 3 kids, and you know, we struggle. So I can't imagine what it's like for a single mom. So you're 21 years old. It's 1987. How do you go from that? The passing of your mom in Detroit, Michigan, to becoming a football player at Kentucky State University, playing for the Thoroughbreds in Frankfurt?
Well, it was one morning, my boys, 2 of my buddies that were already in college. George was at Central Michigan, Charles was at K-State. So they came by my house one morning, I was asleep, and they was like, dude, you know, what you still doing home, dog? And I'm like, man, I said, I want to go off and play somewhere. And he's like, I'll tell Coach Boyd about you and see what he says. So I guess he put in a word, and Coach Boyd called me on Thanksgiving morning, woke me up. I remember that day, plain as day, man. Thanksgiving morning, sleep. And
1988.
This was the spring. It was the winter of '87.
Okay, so Thanksgiving '87.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he asked if I wanted to come play football, defensive back, and I'm like, defensive back? I'm like, man, I'm a receiver. And I'm like, yeah, I'll play. And so I was going to a community college at home just to go to school, take some hours. And
but there was no sports there. Yeah.
No.
So you're just going for the academic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he said, let's see if we can get you in the spring of '88. So me and Chuck, we drive down to KSU, load up my ride, and we drive down there to try and get me enrolled and everything else. I met all the coaches, some of the players, and I couldn't get enrolled because I didn't have enough transferable credit hours. So I had to come back, and I took 15 credit hours at my community college, and then I attended in let me get that right. It was the winter of '88, and I tried to get in the spring of '89. Okay. Yeah, spring of '89, I couldn't, so I got in the fall of '89.
Okay.
And that's when I came, because my mom passed in September. She died September 18th, which was 10 days after her birthday. So I tried to get in the spring of '89, and I couldn't, so I came back, went back to community college, and I took those, got back in the fall of '89. And it was different, man, coming to Kentucky from Detroit.
Really?
Yeah.
Frankfurt it was different?
Oh, yeah. It's a culture shock, man.
You think so?
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
I had people waving at me. I'm driving down the street,
You're not
and
used to
people waving. I'm like, I ain't used to that,
Hey man, look, you have to tell me I was from Lexington, and then I moved to Cincinnati, and that was a culture shock. But then I joined the Marines. I was in L.A. And people would pass me on the street, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing, man? I don't know you."
Yeah.
Like, they're ready to fight me because I said hi, and I didn't get it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
here, you flip it, and for you, people saying hi out of nowhere, it puts you on kind of puts you on defense. Like,
Yeah.
What do you need from me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I told my boy, I'm like, man, I'm used to people waving their guns and something like that.
Yeah,
And he's like, oh man, people are nice here. You get used to it. I'm like, All right,
You have to
okay.
get used to being
Yeah.
people being
Yeah.
nice. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, and I didn't know that Frankfurt was the capital of
Oh, wow.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
So we driving here, and I'm like, dude, how much longer we got? Because we taking the Interstate 75 from Detroit all the way here to 64. I'm like, how much longer we got? He's like, man, we got about 5 hours. I'm like, are you kidding? I'm like, God, this is the longest drive ever. So we finally get here, man, and it was just.
There's an old joke, Willie. It's
Uh-oh.
how do you pronounce the capital of Kentucky? Do you say Louisville or Louisville?
I say Louisville.
It's
I
Frankfurt,
say Louisville.
but it's Frankfurt. So that's the joke you
Oh,
try to
my
learn.
God.
You say Louisville or Louisville, and they go, oh, it's Louisville. You go, no, it's Frankfurt. So that's the old joke. But go ahead. Just to mess with people, right? So you finally get here. The long drive is over. You're on campus. And what was your initial thought? Getting.
I thought
to
it
the
was,
state?
well, when coming here, I thought it was cool, man. It was small campus. I liked it a lot. But, I mean, I didn't care. I just had one objective, man. My whole objective was I'm here for 3 reasons. Be the first generation to graduate from college, play football, and go pro. That's it.
Yeah.
That was it, man. That was all I wanted. But I had some other things, I was granted some other stuff at KSU. I was the first Mr. Kentucky State. I was the first to go and represent the school at the first collegiate African American pageant for the school. I got recognition for that.
What year was the first Mr. Kentucky State?
It was in 91, 92.
Okay.
And I was nominated by Dr. Mary L. Smith and Miss Betty Gibson. Mary Smith was the president back then. Because I was walking around going to campus, walking to my class on campus, and I got called to the president's office. So, you get called to the president's office, you're like, am I in trouble? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I ain't done nothing. I'm thinking of stuff. What did I do this week?
Yeah.
I ain't getting in trouble on the field or nothing. So I go up to the office and had me sit down, and she said, she just basically said, we notice how you carry yourself. You never get in trouble. You don't do this. You don't do that. You represent yourself well, your football team, what you do. We want to know if you'd be willing to represent the school as the first Mr. KSU.
That's great.
So I'm like, oh, wow. So then it was a pageant. The contest was at Prairie View A&M University, which was like 2 weeks later. So it was like 3 weeks later. So I had to prep for that because I had to prep for what I'm wearing, my talent, and all that stuff.
We got another Mr. KSU that's going to be on this thing too. LaCunta Maximus Farmer.
Yeah.
So LaCunta will be on next season, but that's awesome. That's
Okay.
awesome. You're the first one. So you graduate from K-State. Any honors coming out of there?
Well, the thing is, I didn't graduate until 2000. I came back to get my degree in 2006 because I left my last semester open because I had that opportunity to go play.
Right. You got an offer to play
arena football. Yeah, I got
Talk about that. You went from being a college student to being a pro athlete, getting paid to play, and the money for a guy that grew up in the ghetto was just too much at that point, right? You just you wanted some money.
Yeah, I wanted to
The
get
right way.
Yeah, I wanted it the right way. So I mean, it was during the winter of I think it was 93. Yeah, it was 93. And I came back from Detroit from that winter and just got a phone call. Coach was like, hey, congratulations, you won. Y'all just got picked up by the Milwaukee Mustangs under Coach Lou Saban.
Oh, wow.
Who was a legendary coach. I mean, he coached O.J. Simpson when he broke that rushing record at the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, so it was.
Isn't he the father of Nick Saban?
I'm not sure if he is or not. I think they're like cousins or something.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. I thought he was. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Okay, good.
But that was an honor because I know he was a legendary coach.
Yeah.
So I get there, man, and it was fun. It was good, and I ended up getting injured. Same knee injury, and then after that, I had he put me on a waiver, and because I was out for 2 weeks, And me sitting out for 2 solid weeks was like I was watching every player get cut, you know,
Jeez.
because in arena ball, you know, they bringing them in.
Okay.
So I'm sitting in the bleachers with a crowd cuff on my knee, just sitting up in the bleachers. And I mean, athletes getting cut. Some were coming from the NFL playing. And so I told my athletic trainer, because the athletic trainer and the GM was Chris Velazzi, a young kid. They used to own Scott toilet paper. They sold that. So this kid was 22 years old. He's a GM of an arena football team. So his dad pretty much got him that. Sure. And so the GM, and not the GM, but the athletic trainer and the ortho surgeon didn't want them to sign me. Gotcha. Because, you know, I had like a scar on my shoulder from where I fell off my bike. Then here I have like a cut here and a cut here from where in my high school when I had surgery. So they x-rayed that, x-rayed this. And so when they saw x-rayed that, they said I wouldn't sign him. So Coach Saban said, you know, you see this kid's film? You know, we need to have him on the squad. Yeah. So he override that. They end up signing me. So I ended up getting hurt at practice. So I came back to Kentucky. He was going to bring me back. And
hold it real quick. Chris Bryant, my producer, just sent me a note. Lou Saban, you're right. They were distant cousins with Nick Saban. Lou, it's funny that you were rooted so heavily by IU because that's where Lou Saban played his college.
Oh, really?
All that. He started as a player at IU. But go ahead.
That's sweet. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's good.
So you get cut, you come back.
Yeah, because one thing he said to me, because I'm coming back and I'm running my patterns, routes and stuff. He's sitting in the stands watching me. So he calls me over and he's like, you know, do you think you can go out there and play and not think about your knee? And I'm like, man, he was like, be honest with me. So I said, nah, not really. He said, look, I'm not cutting you. I'm putting you on the waiver because I want to bring you back. He said, I want you to go get in shape because you've been out of shape for 2 weeks. You've been out for 2 weeks. He said, you come back in shape. I'm bringing you back and you're going to be starting.
Wow,
So, oh yeah. And so, because my partner, Juan, he ended up being one of the coaches there because he got hurt. And so I came back home and I had my athletic trainer, Sherry McNew. She works at UK now, I think. And she rehabbed me, got me back. I called him back up and my boy Juan tells me he quit because the general manager tried to tell him how to coach during one of the games. So he got mad and quit. So that was my contact. So after that, I waited. I was around for about a couple weeks. Then I had another opportunity to go play overseas. So we end up joining up with this owner. He owned Turner Industries, which is in Western Kentucky. It's like a big old T-shirt factory.
Now, did your agent get these tryouts for you at the time?
Back then, I did that. It was all on me.
Wow. Okay.
I marketed myself. Back then you didn't have Huddle Films, and you didn't have this. Me and my boy, we did our own videos. Cut the videos. That's when we had the VHS. Yeah. Cut them, put music on them, and we just send them. Yeah. Send them out. Send them to agents and stuff, and then went overseas. Played for the USA All-Stars. That was a team it was a league they were going to start overseas, like in Hong Kong, Manila, Osaka, places like that. And so we were over in Taipei, Taiwan for a little bit. Then came back to the state. I got hurt over there again. Then when I came back, I picked up an agent. And so my agent, he signed me up. He was out of California. And so when I came back home, I ended up having knee surgery. So when I had knee surgery, after I had knee surgery, my agent got me a tryout with the Carolina Panthers. This is when they first came out. Right. I had a tryout with them in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and that was back in April. I had ACL replacement in December 24th of, I think it was 1996, 95, I think it was 95. And so then he told me, he said, I got you an NFL tryout with the Carolina Panthers. So he said, I was like, when is it? And it was in April, and I just had ACL reconstruction. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I told my physical therapist, and I said, do you think I got enough time to get ready? So he talked to Dr. Ireland, because she did my surgery here in Lexington. And she said, you can go for it. So we worked, bust my butt, got me ready. And I did well, went to camp. When I went to camp, you know, I had to take a physical all over again. And the physical that didn't look good. X-rays didn't look good. So it's, you know, because one thing that he said that I had against me was my age. And, you know, basically, I mean, I ran a 4.25 40 when I got clocked in the 40, but he's like, my age and my injury.
Yeah, and stop using like stopwatches.
Yeah. So my age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So it's, you know, because they said, for one, you'll be a liability. Two, they're not going to invest money in you when they can invest money in a 21 or 22-year-old guy that's healthy. So, you know, I just had to take the bump. So when, you know, I didn't make it, you know, honestly, I went through a depression, man. I didn't watch football for about 5 years. Didn't watch it on TV. Every time it came on, I turned it off.
Yeah.
Didn't watch it for a while.
When you get that close, and you feel like you get burned.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be honest. My best 40 time was 4.8. That was 4 hours 8 minutes. All right. So we go from almost making it to the NFL, and it wasn't just the Panthers. There's a few other teams you had tryouts with, and you're the last one to get cut. You get burnt. Now, how do you go from that to being part of the U.S. Olympic team, the alternate squad for the bobsled team? I mean, I know you're from Michigan, but how much bobsledding did you do?
None, dude. None. I mean, I tell you,
4.25, wasn't it?
it helped, but man, it's just one of my buddies I played overseas with. His name is Mike Morris. He called me up, and I was working at Ford's because remember I'd be outside pushing.
I remember you telling me you were going for this tryout for the Olympic bobsled team, and I was teasing you about being the life version of Cool Runnings.
Cool Runnings,
like the real life version. And I said, man, what'd you do? Watch Cool Runnings last night?
Yeah.
You going to try out for this team?
Yeah.
And you start laughing like, no, man, for real. But how did it come about?
So he called me up, man. He called me.
That was early 2000s, right?
It was 2005.
Yeah. Yeah.
He called me up, and he said, man, I don't know why I didn't think of you, but he's like, a guy here in Lake Placid, his name is Kyle Meadows, and he used to run for Santa Monica Track Club with Carl Lewis. So he was living up in Lake Placid, and he said he's trying to start an all-black bobsled team. And he's like, you know, I gave him your name, would you be interested? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, heck yeah. So he got in touch with me. He flew me up to Lake Placid, and we started working on the dry track, just pushing on the dry track. And, you know, he was kind of shocked because I caught on quick. And you just had to tweak a little, you know, a few things. But I was like, kind of like a weekend warrior because I would go up there twice a month. I'd leave on Thursday, come back on Sunday. And a lot of those guys up there are sponsored by like Army, Navy, the Marines. And they live at the Olympic Training Center, which is like kind of like a dorm, a campus. Yeah. So, you know, they got rooms and all that stuff. So they actually live there, and that's what they do, you know, every day. Yeah. They go down there, hit their strength training, hit the dry track, hit the track. So that's what they do. So I went up there, and when I started hitting the ice, I'm a little experienced. So we had my driver, the first driver, he went to Georgia Tech. He was a track athlete from Georgia Tech, and I pushed for him, and we did pretty good because we were out pushing like Steve Holcomb, and knew who was the number one pusher in the world. He was the number one driver in the world. I was putting up some scores. It was a two-man sled, and I was the brake man. So we were putting up some scores. I was nervous, really nervous, because the first time we get off and we pushing, and
that's scary, man.
But it's fun as heck, dude.
I'm sure it is.
It's fun. Yeah, and so first time I'd get in, I spiked him because the spikes got like little tiny spikes on them. So I spiked him.
Just to grip the ice with.
Yeah, he's elbowing me, so I had to tuck in real good, and because we're tucking like this, so we have to move as we hit the curves a certain way. So the second time, I almost jumped in without him, and they said, make sure you wait for your driver to get in first, because I was nervous, man. Yeah. But it was third time we put up some good numbers, and then I did push for John Napier, he was like the number 3 driver in the world. And then after that, we went to.
If you ever see me in a bobsled, call 911 because something's going terribly wrong where I ended up in that thing. Okay, so just do me that favor. Go ahead. So you ended up what? All right. That's just gonna be cataclysmic when that thing goes down and me in it. Go ahead.
All right. So we end up after I did get a bronze medal in the New York Empire State Games. So we got like third. And then after that, we had the Olympic trials. So the Olympic trials were held in Calgary, Alberta. And that was like a whole week, 8 days you got guys, these guys are a beast.
Yeah, the real.
It's like because Calgary, Alberta was the only place that had the indoor ice track. So they had an indoor facility that was out of this world. They had an indoor track, indoor hockey ring, indoor track where you could go upstairs. We had to do our 30, our flying 30, our flying 60. And so the first day I pulled my hamstring. Pulled like way up here during the sprint test. So I asked the coach, I said, could I just chill and get ready for my push test? Yeah. So the push test was on Wednesday, so I got some PT. And they did the tool instruments to just to get the loose. So so when the push test came, and we just had to push. The pushers had to push from the back, so the drivers can get an idea. Okay, we want him. We want him to be one of our pushers. So on this side, on the push test, as soon as I push off, I tore it.
Oh no!
So I was done. So I pushed the sled all the way down, jumped in it. It rolled up to the top of the crest, rolled back down. I hopped out of it because usually we have to hop out of it and just roll it back up to the top. So I just told him I was done. So just for the 8 days, the rest of the week, I'm watching them. So I had to call my chiropractor, my physical therapist, my massage therapist, my wife, and tell them that I didn't make it. So it was kind of like another moment that say, I almost made it, but I didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? It's like
to me, you're in the conversation, and when you look at it the way you do, see, I'm looking at it as you're in that conversation as to almost making it, and there's millions of athletes who come through that aren't even a part of that conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you're at least a thought. You may be a fleeting or passing thought, but you're a thought. Whereas I've seen so many athletes that they're not even taken seriously enough to be part of that conversation.
Yeah.
And to me, that is a huge feather in your cap because people know how good you are, but also how serious you take your craft and what you do.
Yeah.
And that's to me, that's just incredible. We're going to transition into how you eventually became a pro bodybuilder, all natural at that. Your powerlifting, and then talk a little bit about what happened afterwards as you ended up getting your Bachelor of Science, and then you started training full time. But real quick, 5 questions here. What's your favorite food when you're not dieting?
Shoot, man, I ain't haven't dieted in so long, dude. I tell you, man,
you don't have to worry about calories.
Cheeseburgers and fries.
All right, cheeseburgers and fries.
I like sweets too.
Okay, cheeseburger, fries.
Food.
Sweets.
I just say food, man. Just pizza.
Yeah.
I eat it all.
Okay. Give me your favorite movie.
Rocky.
Okay.
Wait a minute, hold on. Let me see. The one I've been watching, the one I watched the most. Let me see. I'd probably say Rocky and Creed.
Creed's great. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great spinoff. They've
Yeah.
done really good with that.
Yeah.
Favorite musician or favorite musical group, or
Uh,
they don't even have rap groups anymore. They just have rappers today.
yeah.
Like rap groups are a thing of the past.
Mm-hmm.
But like, give me your favorite musician or favorite group.
Man, usually I don't have just one musician I listen to or one group. I listen to a lot of stuff. I like jazz a lot. I like jazz. I like in my facility, you know, I might turn it on for a little hip hop or just a mixture of stuff. I usually like.
If you're in your car and you put on music, what is it?
I usually listen to my my prime radio because I got my playlist.
Okay. Give me a couple people on that playlist.
Let me see. Vice Versa is one.
Okay.
What's another one? I like Tupac. I like some of Snoop stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So got that. Give me your childhood sports hero.
Lynn Swann.
Lynn Swann. Really?
Yeah.
So were you a big Steelers fan?
Yeah.
So grew up in Detroit, Michigan, but a Steelers fan.
Man, I used to try and emulate myself after Lynn Swann. I took
That's not
when I
bad
found
person
out
to
he
try to
took
emulate.
when I found out he took ballet. I took ballet before I came to K-State.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we go from that. Now the Olympic stuff is done, but while you were doing the trying to get into the Olympics with the bobsled team, 2005, you were also a personal trainer at that time, and you had an office. It was your own business inside of Ford's. Talk about getting into personal training and what it has meant to your life. I know you've already published your book, which is Cracking the Code to Fat Loss Success. And Chris has got a shot of it right there. And you've got all the secrets to cracking the code to fat loss success. You have trained so many good athletes. I know you've trained pro athletes as well. Talk about writing that book and give us a couple of the secrets without giving away the book.
Basically, writing the book, man, is just really helping individuals, help them tap into their own DNA. You know, it's trying to let them know that not every one, I ain't gonna say diet, but not every one plan or meal plan will work for them.
Right.
So, you know, you have to really find what will work for you, and finding that, cracking that code, it really takes time. It's pretty much trial and error. You know, you can't really say, okay, I'm gonna jump on this because I think I saw this on the internet, or I Googled this and it said, you know, this will work. But everybody's DNA makeup is different. You know, everyone's different, and things will, different meal plans work for different people. Like I have a client that I've been working with, and she would lose a little bit, and then I researched this carb cycle. And so I dug into it a little bit more, and then I came up with, you know, caloric values of different calories mixed with different macros, which is your protein, carbs, and fats. So many, like, you know, they may be on a 1,500 calorie plan, but like days 1 through 3, they have, you know, no carbs. Then days, you know, 5, 7, and 5, 7, and, you know, 5, 7, and 2, or 5, 7, 5, and 7, they may have moderate carbs. Then the other 2 days, they'll have high carbs. So once I put her on that, she lost so fast, and then she lost so much fat. I had to tell her to stop. I said, I'm gonna bump your calories up because you're losing way too fast, you know. And she was loving it. She went from like 194, now she's hanging at 159.
So, like, weight is something I've always struggled with since I was in the military. Once I got out of the military, it seemed to just, you know, I used to gain weight so quickly. And I've actually lost 35, 40 pounds over the last 2 months now.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks, man. And it's I'm walking 3 to 5 miles every day, but I'm eating once a day.
Oh.
And it's the fasting has been great for me though.
You do intermittent fasting?
Yeah, I'm just doing the 16 hours of fasting
Okay.
a day. Now I'm at 20 hours of fasting, and I eat during a 4-hour period, and that's it. Which has worked well for me because I got diagnosed with LDA.
Okay.
Do you, and I don't know if you're familiar with LDA, Chris. You probably aren't, but that's large dumpy ass. So because of my weight gain, this fasting and walking has helped me. What do you do though with somebody who comes to you and says, "Hey, look, I've got hypothyroidism. I gain weight watching people eat Big Macs. I'll put on 5 pounds if somebody eats a Big Mac around me." You know, you've had those clients. How do you get somebody who, quite honestly, is probably a couch potato? They lie about what they eat, and they say they can't lose weight, and they've tried everything. How much of it do you take is probably true? And then have you had that where you had to actually say, okay, and then is there a fix?
Well, first thing I usually try and do is I do a consultation with them first. After the consultation, I do a fitness evaluation. It goes over their baseline fitness levels.
How much of that is you reading them? Like, are they telling me the truth?
Oh yeah,
Is a lot of that-
I can see that, man.
Yeah.
I can tell when a person says, you know, if I put them on a meal plan, I could tell, you know, they say I'm following it and I'm following it, and I'm looking at them like, I can look at you, you're not following it. I can tell. You know, you can't fool somebody. I've been in the circus. I've been down the street. You can't tell me that.
You've been to the show.
Yeah, I've
You know
been
how
there.
strings work on the
Yeah,
puppets.
I do, man.
Now,
You know,
with that camera on him, I want you all to remember something. This guy's 57 years old. He has a body of a 20-year-old right now. I mean, that's insane. This guy is close to 60 years old. So I don't think you're going to fool him. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, and it's just accountability, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, a person with hypothyroidism, first thing I would do is I would take them through that fitness evaluation first. After that, I would, ask them, what are you eating? And they say, I eat pretty good. How many times you hear a person say, I eat pretty good? What's your pretty good? I gotta identify what their pretty good is. And once they tell me or they write it on paper, that's when they actually see and they can identify that I'm not eating enough. So first, if a person with that condition, I got to see make sure if they're on any medication for that.
Yeah. And do you see a lot of times when they write that out though, they go, "Wow, I didn't realize I ate that much."
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes I got the one that lost so much. She has a journal, and she writes her workouts in it. She writes what she eats, and sometimes I'll look at it. But she's been so diligent about just really investing in the process to where I really don't have to question her anymore. She said, "Well, I'm gonna have a cheat meal." I'm like, "Go for it."
And do you find that the people that are serious about it, you don't need to be diligent with them. They're going to do it for themselves anyway.
Yeah, I trust them. But the ones that just lie and say they're doing it and they're not really doing it, and you can look at them and tell they're not doing it, I don't trust them. But the thing what holds them accountable is when they have to pay for that service.
Yeah.
When they know they got to pay for me to monitor them, they got to weigh in every month, and when they know they got to weigh in, they get on that in-body scale. If they've been hitting it, they ain't got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
If they haven't been, then they're gonna get on that scale. They're gonna be scared. They're gonna be stressed out.
Willie, one of the things I've noticed about your business too, innovative strength training, right?
Yeah.
Which, if they want to get to your website, what's the website called?
It's nolimitsinnovative.org.
No
but
Limits
I'm working on
innovative.org.
Yeah, but I have a new website. Because this one,
go ahead.
It's not. I ain't gonna even go there. But let me get the.
No, that's okay. No Limits innovative.org
Yeah.
for now. But you know,
Well,
one thing I
but
noticed.
I'm gonna get you the new one that works.
Okay. We want to make sure they have one that works. That's for sure. Now, if they do,
You got up to date stuff on it.
okay. So hold on. For the people that are listening to the podcast now, if they're to reach out to you, what's the number at the business so they can call you?
It's 859-221-4479.
859-221-4479. 859-221-4479. That's Willie Ray. Or you can find him on Facebook under Ray Fit. One thing I was going to tell you though is I noticed that the clients you have, they seem to stay with you. I've seen so many of the clients that you had in the 90s are still with you today. What do you do to, foster such a strong personal relationship to where you have some of the same clients 20 years, 30 years later?
I just show them that commitment, and they know that they're not just a paycheck. When you get a lot of coaches get a lot of clients and they just become a paycheck. With them, it's more personal to me, and we have fun. We laugh, joke, we kick. Old man Mike with the white mustache.
Oh, yeah.
He still comes. He travels from Woodford County. He still comes to this day, 4 days a week. I got a woman, the one that's lost all that. She lives in Estill County.
Wow.
She's been doing this for 6 years. I used to have people that travel from Louisville. So I appreciate people that go that distance and travel that far. I got some people that are living in town. They can't even get to the training center on time. They 15 minutes away from my new facility, and they can't even get here on time. And I got people that live farther distances from they do that are early. Like when I mean early, they're like 15, 30 minutes early. You've been in the service. To me, being on time is late.
Yeah, if you're on time, you're late.
Yeah, so
15 minutes always.
Yeah, so it's like I had a client this morning, and he always a few minutes late. He said, "Man, that school bus, man, I was behind 2 school buses." I said, "Dude," you use that excuse. This is the 3rd time you use that excuse. If you know the time you leave, that
Just
school
look
bus is all
past
going to
their
be there.
stop signs. When they put them out, just hit the gas because then you can get around them quick. I'm kidding. Don't do
Yeah,
that, folks.
they're going to get in trouble and go to
That's right.
jail.
That's right. I heard it on the podcast. But I think it's just, to me, and not to cut you off, I think it's fascinating that the same people are coming to you, 30 years straight, because you're not a personal trainer. You're also a motivator. You're a coach. I've seen you there. It's not like a personal trainer at Planet Fitness, and nothing against Planet Fitness, but they hold a clipboard and they're checking off the boxes because I've had them do that with me. With you, they're getting coaching, they're getting education, they're getting a little bit of tough love.
That's a lot of that.
I heard you say to somebody one time, you didn't have it today, I'm going to bust you up next week.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing that thinking, I bet they don't show up next week, thinking Willie's going to scare them off. But it's, I think you foster such a great relationship with your clients. They know what they're getting and they don't want to leave.
Yeah, man, basically, I worked at the Gold's gyms. I worked at the Body Structures. It's all about, man, being transparent and authentic, man, because I don't have time to be fake. What you see is what you get. That's like you said, tough love. I've coached high school football, high school track, and I've had one of those coaches that if you get a scratch, you get an injury or something at practice, they say throw some dirt on it, get back in, But it's like either you're in or you're out. I had to tell people that when people come to me, either you come to get in the best shape of your life, or you just come to goof off. If you're coming to do that, this is not the place for you. Now, I do have people that come for general fitness, and I do have some that come for like strength training. And, it's a difference.
And most people come to burn calories, but then...
That's general fitness.
Yeah.
And they're not looking to do the strength training. And, the strength training portion is you working on skill, you learning how to foam roll, you working on that manual massage to get your limbs looser and more mobile to where you can move better in those skill strength training positions. A lot of people, they come in, they set their clock, and they just all concerned about how many calories they burn at the end of their workout. They're not looking to learn. You know, they're looking to go through the motions.
And they're going to gain that weight back too.
Oh yeah. They won't, if you're not seeing any improvement, any progression in your weight, that's like if you're using a certain weight, if you're not seeing any growth in that, in your weight jumping up each time you come in, you ain't making no progress. You just there for just a general fitness, just a general workout, because you doing the same weight every time you come in. And those people that are like that, I can't do anything about them if they don't want to change. I want them to change, but I'm gonna give them what they came for, which is general.
To listen to
yeah, most of them not, you know. So I give them what they came for, which is general fitness. Do I like that? Not really, because I want more for them. But the ones that, I got the ones that are in my kettlebell class. I mean, those are the renegades. Those are the beasts. Like Mike, 72, 73 years old, and still going at it, you know. And you know, I got probably like 10 people in that group. But those are the ones I coach that actually get it and they listen, and they I got a few that kind of hold on to everything that I say because they value that. Some just don't value that. You know, you may say, well, you know, why do you keep them anyway? Because I want to continue to provide a service for them because they still trust me. And if I can continue to provide a service for them, maybe sooner or later they'll come around. But you know, as long as I'm continuing to give them what they want, which is that general fitness, that workout, to where they can feel good about themselves, work up a good sweat, I mean, I do it. I don't want to turn anybody away, you know, unless if they can't afford it or if they can't take my workouts. Because some of my workouts can be ridiculously hard.
Not to switch too far away from the fitness part of it, how's your daughter doing?
Man, she's doing awesome. She's
Tell me her name again.
Riley Ann Ray. She has my mom's middle name.
Okay, yeah. And what's she doing now? Because she was a heck of an athlete at like 11. I remember watching her at the gym jump like
dragging a sled and
5
everything.
feet up into the air on top of the little stacks. Crates. I thought, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then you talk to her and she's like 11. What's she doing now?
She is like the premier opera singer at at U of L.
Wow, really?
She transferred, her and her husband now transferred from Virginia Tech to U of L, and she opened up this spring as the lead opera singer. And so she's gifted, man.
I've got a friend whose wife travels all over the world singing opera. She goes to Russia. Mm-hmm. Just all over the world. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Now, she had to have been a great athlete in high school. What did
she was
in high school?
Scott County.
Okay.
Went to Scott County, and she finished her last year at Great Crossing, the new school in Scott County. But she was, I started training her at 6 at Ford's, and she was a 1,400 meter runner, 1,600 meters, and 800 meter and 400 meter. Wow. And she had a really, really good coach. Coach Gene Balin. Okay. He's here in Lexington, and he was a really good coach for her. Yeah. Him and her first coach was Pam Ragland, and she went to EK. She was a EKU Hall of Famer, KHSAA Hall of Famer, and that was her first coach because I wanted her to be the sprinter. Sure. But I just took my hands away from it and said, we got to find you the person that can see your talent and what you need to run. Because you know how most parents are with their kids. They want to mold their kids into something that they aren't. Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna step away from it. I asked the coach, I said, what do you think she should be running? She's like, oh, she's a miler and 800 meters. She didn't want to hear that. Yeah. But she ended up producing and doing well at it. So then and she got her talent singing from her mom. She got her getting athletic ability from me, I can say that much. Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Are you still with the same woman?
Yeah, Michelle.
Yeah, so you guys together It's been over
22. It'll be 23 years. It's been 23 years.
Yeah, and she was in pretty good shape too, though. She was a good athlete.
Yeah.
Because I remember she would come in the gym.
Can work out some, yeah.
Yeah. So with that said, let me ask you these quick questions. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 names, and you give me your thoughts on these 5 names. Just it doesn't have to be long. Give me 30 seconds. A couple lines about these people. Okay. Okay. First one, David Goggins.
Oh, David Goggins, the motivator, the beast. He's a in your face. I don't care what you think about me. One thing I can say about he's a beast. From where he came from, where he started from, and how he just persevered. I mean, that's true. I mean, one word for him is resilience. Perseverance and resilience. Those 2 words for him that makes him up, and it's like he has a little chip on his shoulder. Like, you know, if you can't.
Oh, no, he doesn't have a little chip. He got 2 giant chips on his shoulder. Yeah, he's got a Rolodex of haters that he keeps fresh to fuel his workouts. But yeah, I just wanted to hear your opinion on him because it was his book, Can't Hurt Me, because I served with Navy SEALs. I was in a Marine Corps Special Operations Unit, so I was on the boats with Navy SEALs. And I loved his book, and I loved his attitude about, you know, if you're not exactly how you want to be right now, it's either you want it bad enough and you find a way, or you don't and you find an excuse.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's no BS, man.
Yeah.
No nonsense, no BS with him.
Yeah. All right. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, I would say he's a legend. He's paved the way for a lot of bodybuilders.
Right, the whole movement.
I mean, he paved the way for them, and for them to not only be bodybuilders, but for them to get off in the movies.
Yeah, and create something more than just an avenue of wealth and revenue for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Now, I was told by somebody that you went to the Arnold Classic years ago in Columbus, and you were at a booth, and they had these like giveaway tension things, and they said if you could do it for so long or so many reps, they give you a free set. And that you were there, and this person saw you do something at this booth, and if you did it long enough or like a bunch of reps with it, that they would give you a set free, and you did it.
I'm trying to. Anybody remember that? My wife would probably remember because we used to go to the Arnold Classic a lot. And I'm trying to remember what was that.
Being at a booth and winning something they were giving away because you did it at the booth.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what was it?
It was like some like the tension.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
All right, so Mike Allison, who's the vice president of baseball here, the team, he was there apparently, and he saw you do it, and you got this giveaway for free.
Gosh.
So he was telling me that story today when he heard your name.
Oh,
so
man.
I thought I'd share that with you, that he remembers that.
I remember doing something at one of the booths, but I completely forgot what it was. That may have been it.
Yeah, he said you got some free giveaway. So I thought I'd bring it up, and I thought.
Oh man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So, how about this name, Lou Ferrigno?
Oh man, Lou Ferrigno. He's another one, the Incredible Hulk. He's a legend as well. I mean, he was secondary to Arnold, and I think him and Arnold were neck to neck, but I think he got his shot. You know, he was kind of like in the shadows of Arnold because he wasn't as famous as Arnold back then, but he was known for his great physique, his determination and drive to beat Arnold. And Arnold used to play mind games with him.
Oh yeah.
But
the documentary.
Yeah.
He messes with him.
Yeah.
All right. Lee Haney.
He's another legend. As far as Olympian, he's another legend. That's won, I think, 7 Olympias before Dorian Yates. But he's another true example. He didn't get off into the movies, but he's another one that carried the torch after Arnold, later on after Arnold did, and won the multiple, Olympian titles. Because after Arnold, there was other people that won Olympia, but they didn't hold, multiple titles, like they did.
And the last one, Ronnie Coleman.
Oh my gosh, he's one of the ones I love. I love that guy. One word for him is he's huge. Yeah. He was huge, but I hate that what's happened to him now. How he's in a walker. He on those walkers. Yeah, because he was a power lifter, and he just blew his back out at one point, and kind of still pushed through it, but it just ended up the multiple surgeries that he had. It got worse and worse and worse. I think his chiropractor really wasn't doing much for him. If you saw the documentary on him, his chiropractor wasn't doing much for him. I just think they were taking his money. I think they were taking his money.
Yeah, I did watch the documentary. It's kind of why his name is on the list with him.
But he got his own supplement business. He's doing well. He still goes to the gym at 4 or 5 in the morning. Yeah. He gets around. He don't let that stop him.
One of the big things that I saw in your notes that I reviewed, and one of the things that I think is so important that is wasted on young people today, but David Goggins, believe it or not, in his book Can't Hurt Me, spent the better part of a chapter talking about this, was how important it is to stretch. He stretches 2 hours every night.
Oh shoot, man. He feels good to sleep though.
Yeah, but he talks about how important it is to stretch, and he said when he started really stretching, meaning an hour a night, 2 hours a night, then he realized how unhealthy his body was. Even though he was physically in shape, it was not. He wasn't. His agility wasn't good. His mobility wasn't good with muscles. But once he started stretching, he realized he didn't get injured. He didn't get sore. Nothing. Talk about how important it is to stretch and have agility, especially as you get older.
Well, as we age, I ain't gonna say as we get older. I say as we age, our ligaments and tendons and our muscles, they kind of shrink. They get tighter and our muscles shrink. So it's important, not only is stretching is important, it's in stretching. Strength training is important as well, because we strengthen the muscles. As we strengthen the muscles, we strengthen those ligaments and those tendons, because you have the ligaments the tendons are connected from muscle to bone. So the ligaments are pretty much ligaments go from bone to bone, which keep our muscles stabilized. So as we elongate those muscles and stretch, mobility activation like foam rolling and stuff like that, we get into foam rolling, which is manual massage. That kind of works the fascia tissue, which surrounds the muscle. So it loosens that up to where you're able to move and have more elasticity and mobility in that joint, in that area. So stretching, and that helps with lengthening the muscle, so you can get into good positions to stretch and lengthen that muscle. It's good because foam rolling actually warms that area up to prepare you to stretch and to move and get in those positions a lot better, because you really can't stretch a cold muscle without hurting yourself. Because if you go right and stretching yourself while you cold, you ain't gonna be able to get down low enough. But if your muscles are kind of loose and warmed up, it's gonna allow you to get in that full range of motion a lot better, to where you can hold it for 20 to 30 seconds, to where it's gonna help you, and it'll help you sleep too. Because it kind of helps when you open those areas up and kind of release some of that serotonin, not serotonin, but it kind of release some of that synovial fluid in that joint, would help nurtures it and all this and things like that, and also help increases range of motion and blood flow. You get more blood flow, you get more elasticity,
There's nothing worse than getting woken up by a Charlie horse.
Oh yeah,
that's the worst.
Yeah, I've had that a lot.
Willie Blakemore Ray. I can't tell you how much it
And let me
meant to
see if I get this real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, I can't tell you how much it meant to me to have you on today. Willie Ray, he's a personal trainer, personal coach. You can find Willie Ray.
Okay, I got it.
In Lexington, 859-221-4479. Get a shot of the book there, Cracking the Code to Fat Loss Success. That is the road to getting healthy. He outlines throughout the book the secrets. Each secret is in there to cracking the code. You can find that book where at?
You can find it on Amazon.
Amazon.
And
okay.
then my second one is also on Amazon.
And what's that one
Fit
called?
for Life.
Fit for Life,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Then the
Not
website.
Harvey and Marilyn Diamond, Fit for Life, Willie Ray's version, because there is one. That
It's several. It's 20 other authors in that book. We're co-authors in that book, and I have a chapter in that book.
Okay. And go ahead.
And then the website is www.rayfit.life.
Rayfit.life, got it. Rayfit, RAYFIT dot
Yep.
life, LIFE, and 859-221-4479. Willie, hey, I've known you for 30 years. I know the best commercial you've ever had produced. Was it My Fingertips?
It was that one. I was gonna have you.
Yeah,
I was gonna
man,
have you do
still
that
hits.
again. I still got that, man.
Yeah, man.
I still got that
Yeah,
video.
That thing is awesome.
Flip.
Yeah.
Flip.
Yeah, a little flip on there.
Yeah, and this
But-
is this is the book. I'm gonna show it to you.
But yeah, I'm just okay. Fit for Life, your ultimate guide to health, fitness, and nutrition, featuring 15 top health experts from around the world. So look for that one as well. Fit for Life, and also Cracking the Code to Fat Loss Success: The Road to Getting Healthy. Both of those with Willie Ray. One written by Willie Ray, the other one featuring Willie Ray. There you go.
All right.
But again, hey, thanks so much for doing this. and
Man,
taking
thank
the
you.
time.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it's just taking the time every day to do it. I think fitness is something. It's not just for people with expendable income, although it does take some income sometimes. But just going back to what we said, if it's worth it to you, you'll find a way, and if it's not, you'll find an excuse. But a lot of people out there, I think, are not trying to become pro athletes. They're trying to live long enough to walk their daughter down the aisle. And if you want to do that, that's why people like Willie Ray are around. So
Yeah, you got to be proactive,
you gotta
not reactive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're reactive in fitness, you're in a bad spot because something's happened.
Yep.
You have to recover. It's kind of it's like a car. It's preventive maintenance, right?
Yep.
It's preventive maintenance, so you don't have to have too many repairs along the way, so to speak. Hey, man, thanks so much. God bless you. So good to see you, man.
Well, good to see you too.
Good to hear you and Michelle and the girl. They're all still together. That's fantastic, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you for listening to Game Changers with Steve Tresler. Game Changers is produced by Chris Bryant. For more great content like this, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell for new episodes.